Retron 5 has been in high demand since the announcement of the retro gaming system to the public. This would be Hyperkin's first attempt at creating a system that features all past handheld and consoles in one system. Will this system deliver for the retro gaming consumer? Let's get into the review to find out. The Retron 5 is a retro gamer's dream. It has the ability to play Sega Genesis, Nintendo, Super Nintendo, Famicom, and Game Boy Advance games, so it's a 5-in-1 system. The system is HDMI enabled and is the only way you can play. If you don't have an HD TV, you may have to search for another option to use this system. The setup for the console is fairly simple. After connecting the power cord and the HDMI cord, you're ready to turn on your Retron 5. To turn on the system, you must hold the power button for at least 10 seconds to start up the system. I wasn't aware of this at first because the manual doesn't say that directly, so you assume that you would just push the power button and it would turn on, but that's not the case. But once the system is on, you must pair your wireless controller through the settings and you're ready to go. Once you get the Retron 5 all fired up, the main screen starts you off with a quick help guide displaying what buttons correspond with what and different shortcuts you can use on the system. You are now in the mainframe of the Retron 5. And the Android-based menu was very clean and easy to understand and maneuver through. On this main screen, it shows Play Game, Game Menu, Settings, and Power Off. In the Play Game function, every time a new game is put into the system, it has to load and it displays what game it is, which was pretty cool. You can't put more than one game into the Retron 5 though, because it has to load each game at a time, and there is a warning that if you do that, it could damage the system. Once you get into the games, they play very well, and I personally didn't have too many problems while I was playing. But I did run into the occasional NES game that didn't work, and I reverted back to the old blow in the game trick, which oddly worked. Now here's a big plus. The Retron 5 is region free, so you're able to play games from all different countries that you weren't able to play if you're only in the US. And since the Game Boy Advance had the backwards capability of playing Game Boy Color and Game Boy games, you're also able to play them on the Retron 5. So that makes that 7-in-1 games instead of just 5. That's pretty much awesome, I think. A question that a lot of people were asking me about was if the Retron 5 was worth purchasing if you had the systems already. And I personally honestly feel like it's based on your own personal gaming opinion. I personally don't really care if I play Sega on the original Sega. If it's all in one system and I can still have that enjoyment, I'm pretty much okay with that. But some people, want to play with their older systems and play on there, which is okay. And the Retron 5 still gives you that capability of playing the exact same way that it was originally intended. So it doesn't force you to come to a new age of gaming. You don't have to if you don't want to. You can still play all the games that you played before and enjoy it the same way, but have that HD quality that some gamers may want to have and may want to experience. The Retron 5 has a unique look to it. It closely resembles the likeness of the Super Nintendo, and I actually like the look of the Retron 5. Every system is clearly marked and it's not cluttered, which is most important. The system is actually very light, and it definitely threw me off when I first held it, because I was kind of expecting it to have a little weight to it, but it's very light as a feather. This is the main selling point of the Retron 5, having the ability to play old retro games via HDMI on an HD TV. You're also able to change the size of the screen of each game and use the filters to display the games better. Now, in certain games like Mario, you really could tell the difference of the new HD technology quality compared to the original look. Now, for the controller of the Retron 5, I felt it was kinda ugly. I thought they could have done a better job designing the controller to look a little bit more like it belonged in the retro gaming family, or something that looked a little bit more appealing. But other than that, the controller works really well. With the wireless controller, I never had an issue with lag or delay on any of the games I review with. Also, it's worth stating that the battery life is pretty good. I was able to play for at least 3 or 4 hours before I had to charge it through the USB cord in the back of the system. The biggest downfall of the controller, I would say, is that the analog stick is the only thing you can use to control the actual controller. There's no D-pad at all. And for certain games that require D-pad motion, like fighting games, the analog stick is very awkward and isn't very accurate at times. This kind of defeats the purpose of having an all-in-one controller if not all the games work perfectly with it. You can't turn on the system with the controller. You always have to use the power button in the front of the system to even turn it on. It's a small minor detail, but it's worth mentioning. You could turn off the system via the Retron 5 menu, but that's it. The Retron 5 is an excellent investment for those wanting to relive their childhood or retro gaming memories. The fact that you can play 3 US release consoles, 3 US release handheld systems, and a Japanese release system with the option to play all import games for all the systems is pretty damn awesome. Now don't get me wrong, I'm sure there are many retro gamers out there who may not like the fact that these aren't the original systems. But I love that you're able to play anything that you wanted to before, all in one. So if you've seen this review and read the written one, and saw all the negatives, and you're still wanting to have it, I say just jump in the retro gaming pool and go for it. I give this an 8 out of 10.